I find older men stimulating.
I hope you're not talking about me.
Oh, certainly not.
Shelley Long, the woman who made all of America laugh, yet could never make herself happy. In the 1980s, she was the heart of the sitcom Cheers, a symbol of wit, intelligence, and timeless charm. But behind the laughter of millions, Shelley Long made a choice that stunned everyone. She walked away. Away from the spotlight, away from the role that had taken her to the top. Hollywood couldn't understand it. They called her arrogant, difficult to work with, and soon crossed her name off every golden list. And Shelley Long, once surrounded by laughter, quietly disappeared, living a life few ever heard about. Why would a star who had everything choose to walk away from the very paradise others could only dream of? And behind that seemingly perfect smile, what truth did Hollywood never dare to tell? Before becoming the beloved face of Cheers, Shelley Long was just a small-town girl from Indiana, where winters were freezing and dreams of the arts felt impossibly far away. Shelley Long was born on August 23, 1949, in Indian Village, Fort Wayne, Indiana, into a middle-class family. She was the only child of Ivadine, née Williams, a schoolteacher, and Leland Long, who had worked in the rubber industry before also becoming a teacher. Growing up in a household of educators gave Shelley a strong sense of discipline and a sharp, analytical mind from an early age. Her passion for communication and performance showed early on. In high school, she joined the school's speech team and quickly became a standout in the Indiana High School Forensic Association. In 1967, at just 18 years old, Shelley made history by winning the national championship of the National Forensic League in the original oratory category. It wasn't just another competition. It was the national stage where the finest young speakers in America went head-to-head. With her eloquence and confident presence, Shelley defeated some of the best, proving her poise before an audience, a skill that would later become her secret weapon in acting. After graduating from Southside High School in Fort Wayne, Shelley pursued her artistic calling by studying drama at Northwestern University, one of the most prestigious theater schools in the United States. But after just 2 years, she made a bold decision. She dropped out. Why? Because she realized that real-world experience mattered more than any diploma. While her classmates stayed in lecture halls, Shelley stepped out into the world to seek opportunity. Ironically, her first college job had nothing to do with the stage or camera. She worked inspecting cafeteria menus, an unlikely beginning for someone destined to become a television icon. Not long after, she moved to Chicago, a vibrant hub for theater and performance art. That move would change her life forever. Shelley began working as a model, performing in local stage productions, and appearing in small television projects to learn the craft and test her limits. Though she didn't come from an artistic family, Shelley Long's natural talent and sharp instincts allowed her to build her own foundation, one that would soon carry her into the world of acting. After leaving college, Shelley Long didn't wait for opportunity. She created it. In Chicago, amid the misty skyline, the young blonde started small, modeling for homemakers' furniture, writing scripts for television, and eventually stepping in front of the camera as a host. By the mid-1970s, Chicago television had no shortage of news programs, but few dared to touch social issues with warmth and wit. Then came a new name, Shelley Long, the young woman who had left Northwestern University to learn from life. When she first joined WMAQ-TV, expectations were low. She was just a contributor, editing short news segments for a new show called Sorting It Out. But it didn't take long for people to realize she wasn't just a writer, she understood people. Shelley began going out on her own, interviewing, writing, and hosting stories about things everyone else overlooked. The pressure on working women, the unspoken rules of office life, even seemingly trivial questions like, why are people afraid to tell the truth on television? Her warm voice, intelligent gaze, and effortless humor made viewers feel as though they were listening to a friend, not a broadcaster. A director from the show later recalled, Shelley had this ability to turn news into a story. She didn't read the news, she told it. Before long, sorting it out became a small local phenomenon, and Shelley, once just an assistant, became its creative heartbeat, writing, editing, and fronting the show herself. In only a few short years, that Indiana girl brought home 3 Chicago Regional Emmy Awards, a rare achievement for someone who had never studied journalism. Colleagues still remember that every time the show aired, the entire newsroom would stop to watch, not out of curiosity, but because they wanted to see how Shelley would make people laugh or cry this time. From then on, it was clear. Shelley Long wasn't just a pretty face on screen. She was a born storyteller, and that more than anything became the foundation of her future in Hollywood. But Shelley's true passion didn't lie behind a news desk. She found herself in laughter and soon stepped into the Second City, the legendary birthplace of America's greatest comedians. There were no scripts, no safety nets. Every night was a gamble. Either you made the audience laugh, or you vanished in silence. Shelley didn't just survive, she thrived. Her sharp improvisation and mastery of rhythm made the girl from Indiana stand out among seasoned performers. Those nights on stage paved her way to Hollywood. She caught the attention of producers and was cast in 2 major projects, Jumpin' Jack Flash, 1986, and My Stepmother is an Alien, 1988. But both times, she was replaced at the last minute, once by Whoopi Goldberg, once by Kim Basinger. Both later went on to win Oscars. For most people, that would have been a bitter defeat. But for Shelley, it was a choice. She never wanted fame at any cost. A close friend once said, she wouldn't take a role just because it helped her career. Shelley had to believe in the character. Otherwise, she'd walk away. That conviction cost her many golden opportunities, but it also led her straight to the role that would define her life. Because just a year later, Shelley Long received the offer to join Cheers, and the role of Diane Chambers didn't just make her a star. It rewrote American television history. But every spotlight has its price. And for Shelley Long, fame would soon become both the light that made her shine and the fire that burned her. In 1982, an opportunity came that Shelley Long could never have predicted: the role of Diane Chambers in the sitcom Cheers. At the time, dozens of well-known actresses had auditioned, including Lisa Eichhorn and Julia Duffy. But Shelley walked into the casting room with an unusual calm. She didn't perform to impress, didn't try too hard. She simply played the character her own way. When she was paired with Ted Danson, who played Sam Malone, something extraordinary happened. After just a few lines, the room went silent. Diane and Sam felt like 2 opposite souls destined to collide, and yet drawn to each other by an indescribable energy. The moment the audition ended, NBC producers knew they had just witnessed a moment of television history. They weren't acting, one crew member recalled. They were being the characters. But Cheers didn't start out as a legend. When its first season aired, it ranked dead last, 77th out of 77 shows. Cancellation seemed inevitable. Still, NBC took a gamble. They believed in the chemistry between Shelley Long and Ted Danson, and that leap of faith led to one of the greatest comeback stories in American television. From its second year onward, Cheers exploded into a cultural phenomenon. Audiences adored how Shelley made Diane Chambers both brilliant, perfectionist, even a little arrogant, yet heartbreakingly fragile. The way she delivered a line, the slight smile at the end of a sentence, the musical rhythm in her voice, it all made the character unforgettable. Many directors later admitted that Shelley had a musician's ear for acting. She could feel comedic rhythm and emotional timing like a jazz performer. That musical instinct turned every exchange between Diane and Sam into a true duet. Intellect versus instinct, blending in a rhythm no one could forget. Her performance earned Shelley Long the 1983 Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, along with 5 total Emmy nominations and 2 Golden Globe wins. At the height of her career, she earned $450,000 per episode, an extraordinary figure for the 1980s. The success of Cheers was no accident. It was built on a perfect formula: sharp writing, multi-layered characters, and the warm, familiar setting of a Boston bar where everybody knows your name. That theme wasn't just a lyric. It was the show's soul, a place where lonely people found connection. Characters like Sam Malone, the charming yet wounded bartender Carla Tortelli, the tough-talking waitress or Norm Peterson, the lovable regular everyone greeted by name, all formed a strange but beautiful family. And in the middle of it all, Shelley Long's Diane Chambers was the emotional current, both the tension and the tenderness that made Cheers feel alive. The romance between Sam and Diane, their breakups, witty banter, and the push and pull of longing became one of television's most iconic love stories. In the final scene, when Sam Malone quietly closes the bar door, ending an 11-year journey watched by nearly 100 million Americans, no one could forget the woman who once made the whole world laugh. And then falls silent. Shelley Long. For Cheers fans everywhere, Diane Chambers wasn't just a character. She was the soft melody in a noisy sitcom world. And Shelley Long was the one who composed that music, with her smile, her voice, and her soul. But you know what? There's an unbelievable truth behind that fateful audition. Ted Danson, the man who would go on to form the legendary duo Sam and Diane with Shelley Long, once thought she was the wrong choice. Years later, Danson admitted on Sirius XM's Where Everybody Knows Your Name that his instincts had been completely wrong. "I'm famous for always being wrong," he said. "At the time, I thought, no, Shelley Long can't be it. She doesn't fit at all. But just a few days later, she made all of us shut up. She made everything right." On the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, Ted recalled those early days between them. "We were so different. Our styles, our approach, everything clashed. Sometimes it was honestly hard being in the same room, but once we started acting, she hit back twice as hard. She was amazing." That very contrast created the magical chemistry millions of viewers would later feel on screen. Ted Danson believes Shelley Long was the reason he got the part of Sam Malone in the first place. Because during their paired audition, she lit up the entire room. She was incredible. "That first year, she put us on the map," Ted said. Even more touching, he added that Shelley probably never knew about his initial reaction. "I've said it many times, but I don't think she's ever heard it. And that only makes me admire her more. She didn't need to hear it because she already knew she was right." It's one of the most beautiful paradoxes in their relationship. They didn't need to understand each other off-screen because once the cameras rolled, they understood each other down to the rhythm of a breath. From that very difference, they created one of the most unforgettable partnerships in television history. But an even more shocking truth was yet to come. At the height of her fame, Shelley Long stunned Hollywood when she suddenly announced her departure from Cheers after 5 seasons. The decision not only shocked fans but also sparked a storm of rumors. Why would an actress, at the peak of her success, walk away from America's most popular sitcom? What really happened behind the scenes of Cheers? The truth behind her decision would only emerge years later. Shelley Long didn't just play Diane Chambers. She was Diane Chambers in every sense. She became the character so deeply that it was hard to tell where Diane ended and Shelley began, a rarity for any sitcom performer. One of the most striking examples came during a scene in which Diane witnesses Sam kissing Carla. It was scripted, but Shelley began crying for real, leaving the entire crew stunned. She wasn't acting. She was genuinely heartbroken, just like Diane. Beyond her deep immersion in character, Shelley was a perfectionist. She often debated with the writers to ensure Diane's personality stayed authentic. Those discussions sometimes led to tension on set. Ted Danson later admitted he and Shelley had their disagreements, though he insisted he never had anything bad to say about her. Still, the frequent debates about dialogue, tone, and character direction sometimes made the atmosphere on set intense. Even Kelsey Grammer, who played Frasier Crane, mentioned in his memoir that Shelley once pushed to have his character written out of the show, though in the end, that never happened. The story didn't end with on-set tensions. One of the key reasons Shelley Long left Cheers was the direction of the writing itself. From the very beginning, the show's central thread revolved around the will-they-won't-they tension between Sam and Diane. That lingering question of whether their love-hate dynamic would ever turn into something real. But unexpectedly, the producers decided to make them a couple too soon, stripping away much of the show's dramatic tension. After that, the writers struggled to keep audiences engaged. At one point, they even considered having Sam and Diane marry and start a family, a storyline that never materialized. Writer Ken Levine later revealed that if Shelley Long hadn't left, Cheers might have ended much earlier. He believed Diane Chambers' departure forced the show to reinvent itself, a change that allowed it to run 6 more years, thanks to Kirstie Alley's arrival. But for Shelley, the decision wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Beyond the behind-the-scenes disagreements and creative stagnation, Shelley Long was under tremendous physical and emotional strain. The filming schedule stretched 14 to 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, pushing her to exhaustion. She suffered from chronic migraines and intense stress. More than anything, her daughter Juliana, born in 1985, was growing up without her mother around as much as she wanted. Shelley didn't just leave Cheers for her career, she left to be a mother. Another factor couldn't be ignored: the Hollywood dream. Shelley Long believed she could transition to film and follow in the footsteps of Mary Tyler Moore, another TV icon who became a respected movie actress. With her fame from Cheers, she thought the path would open naturally, but Hollywood, as always, had other plans. Her departure was a gamble. Cheers thrived after she left. Kirstie Alley stepped in as Rebecca Howe, and the show continued its massive success. But for Shelley Long, life after Cheers proved far tougher than she imagined. Her film roles failed to elevate her to movie star status. Though she found moderate success in The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, Outrageous Fortune, and Hello Again, none matched the brilliance of her Cheers years. While her co-stars like Ted Danson and Kelsey Grammer continued to flourish on television, Shelley slowly faded from the Hollywood spotlight. She appeared in the Brady Bunch movie, Frasier, Boston Legal, and Modern Family, but none restored her former stature. When Cheers celebrated its 30th anniversary, she didn't attend. When her former castmates reunited for a major 2024 event, she was absent once again. Years later, when asked whether she regretted leaving Cheers, Shelley simply replied, "I don't regret it. I just made the best decision I could at that time." But was it truly the right choice? After Cheers, Shelley Long was no longer one of Hollywood's brightest names. She slowly slipped into obscurity, and the personal tragedies that followed were even harsher. Her life beyond the spotlight would soon reveal a story far more heartbreaking than anyone imagined. Before she became one of television's golden faces, Shelley Long had a marriage that almost no one remembers. It happened in the early 1970s, when her career was just beginning to take shape in Chicago. The man's name was Ken Solomon, a figure so faint in Shelley's life story that he's nearly erased from the public record. There was no grand wedding, no magazine photos, and no explanation when it ended. All that's known is that the marriage was brief, and it ended quietly, just as Shelley preferred to live, keeping her most private parts entirely to herself. An old friend once said, "Shelley always separated her private life from her career. She could talk for hours about work, but never about love." Perhaps it was from that early heartbreak that she learned how to keep a safe distance from the world. After the first marriage, Shelley poured all her energy into her work, into the stage, the newsroom, and the dream she believed was the only thing that could fill that emptiness: art. No one knows what exactly ended that marriage. Whether it was a clash of ambitions or simply two people crossing paths too soon. But one thing is certain. After that, Shelley Long closed her heart completely until she met the second man, the one she believed would be forever. In 1981, while still a rising television actress, Shelley Long married Bruce Tyson, a stockbroker. Unlike Diane Chambers, the character constantly chasing love on Cheers, Shelley seemed to have found peace in real life. Bruce wasn't just a husband, he was a source of financial and emotional stability, giving her the freedom to choose roles without worrying about money. When she left Cheers at the height of fame, she said, "I'm leaving because I want more time for my family." And for a while, that appeared true. But like every beautiful melody, harmony eventually began to fall out of tune. In the 1990s, as the Cheers spotlight faded, Shelley threw herself into film. Hello Again, Troop Beverly Hills, The Brady Bunch movie. Yet, success didn't return. The films underperformed, the offers slowed, and Hollywood had found new faces to celebrate. Career pressure and the sting of being forgotten began to seep into her marriage. Conversations grew fewer, and silence started replacing everything, an old friend recalled. After 23 years together, they divorced in 2004. And for Shelley, it wasn't just a separation. It was the collapse of the private world she had fought to protect after fame had taken everything else. A few months later, Hollywood was stunned. In November 2004, the New York Post and UPI simultaneously broke the story. Cheers star hospitalized after apparent overdose of painkillers. Possible suicide attempt. According to reports, Shelley, then 55 years old, was rushed to UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles in critical condition. Close friends told The Sun that she had been deeply depressed after her marriage ended, barely eating and saying she no longer had a reason to live. A friend described it painfully. It was heartbreaking. She was only 55, but she looked like a 90-year-old woman. The news spread like wildfire. The Sun, the Post, UPI. Every outlet ran headlines about an apparent suicide attempt. But just a few days later, Associated Press quoted her manager, Martin Mickelson, who denied everything. Shelley did not try to take her own life, he said. She simply took one extra pain pill for her back. She suffered chronic pain from an old injury on the Cheers set and had a reaction to the medication. She's home now and doing fine. Hospital records confirmed that Shelley was released a few days later, and her mother reassured reporters that her daughter was home and no longer in the hospital. Whether it was truly an accident or a silent cry for help, remains a mystery to this day. But one thing is certain: Shelley Long had reached the lowest point of her life. From the woman who once made America laugh, she had become the subject of somber headlines. Amid endless speculation, only one truth remained. The spotlight is never as warm as the light within, and when that light goes out, even a legend like Shelley Long must learn how to stand again, in the dark. In those darkest months, when every stage light had faded, only one person stayed by Shelley's side: her daughter, Juliana Tyson. When Shelley was discharged from the hospital, Juliana was just 19. She had to watch her mother drift through days when she barely recognized herself. The once radiant actress, now lying still in a quiet room, staring at the ceiling as if replaying the echoes of laughter that once filled her world. Friends said it was Juliana who first walked up to her hospital bed, took her mother's hand, and whispered softly, "Mom, I'm still here." Not everyone is strong enough to lift another person when they're still growing up themselves. But Juliana did. She brought her mother back to life through small, simple acts. Taking walks together, sharing breakfast, reading old Cheers scripts, rewatching episodes that once made Shelley laugh and cry. A close friend of Shelley recalled, "Juliana didn't try to cheer her up. She just stayed," as if her presence alone was enough to remind Shelley that life still had a reason to go on. Motherhood, once lost in the frenzy of fame, became the only medicine that still worked. Shelley no longer chased big roles. Instead, she began rediscovering the small joys: cooking, gardening, walking along the shores of Pacific Palisades, where the sea was still blue and the wind carried the scent of freedom. When Juliana eventually left for college, Shelley wrote her a short letter, just one line: "Don't be afraid of failure, because it's only when we fall that we truly know we're alive." Juliana would later quote that line in small interviews as a tribute to the mother once adored by all of America. Though Shelley Long has never spoken publicly about that dark period, those close to her know one thing: her daughter's love was the only reason she stayed. Even though Shelley Long left Cheers while it was still at its peak, she never vanished from the memory of American television audiences. Her portrayal of Diane Chambers was more than a role. It became a symbol, a turning point that forever changed how the world saw women in comedy. Diane wasn't the typical sweet female character written just to decorate the male lead. She was intelligent, proud, sometimes infuriating, and always convinced she was right. But it was precisely those contradictions that made her so real. Everyone could see a bit of themselves in Diane Chambers. Standing opposite Sam Malone, free-spirited, instinctive, emotionally guarded, Diane became his perfect counterbalance. They weren't just two characters. They were the two poles of love itself: logic and passion, pride and vulnerability. Their will they, won't they dynamic didn't just define the heart of Cheers. It became one of the most iconic love stories in television history. When Shelley Long left, Cheers carried on. Kirstie Alley's Rebecca Howe brought fresh energy, but the debate, was Cheers better with Diane or Rebecca, still continues decades later. It's proof of how enduring Shelley Long's creation truly was. When Cheers ended in 1993, Shelley returned for the final episode, and more than 43 million viewers tuned in. That night, when Sam Malone quietly closed the bar door, it wasn't just the end of a show. It felt like Diane Chambers herself, the woman who once made the world laugh and then fall silent, was saying goodbye. But Shelley Long's legacy reaches far beyond Cheers. She changed how audiences viewed women in sitcoms, no longer as side characters, no longer in the background, but as complex human beings with voices, flaws, and depth. Without Diane Chambers, there would be no Rachel Green, Friends, Lily Aldrin, How I Met Your Mother, or Liz Lemon, 30 Rock. Every one of those women, sharp, conflicted, unapologetically themselves, carries a fragment of Diane Chambers' DNA. Critics once described Shelley Long as an actress with a musician's ear for performance. In her work, every line, every glance, every hesitation had rhythm. A kind of witty, graceful jazz that made Diane Chambers live not just on the page, but in the audience's memory for over 40 years. Ted Danson, her co-star through 5 seasons, once said, "Without Shelley, there would be no Cheers. She laid the foundation for everything." Shelley Long may not have achieved the cinematic success she once dreamed of, but no one can deny that she changed television. Through a female character who dared to be smart, proud, and heartbreakingly human, she redefined what it meant to be a woman in comedy, proving that intelligence could shine just as brightly as beauty. Today, when new shows still try to recreate the Sam and Diane formula, people realize something simple. It can't be done. Because Diane Chambers was never just a role. She was a legacy. And Shelley Long, with all her sensitivity, intellect, and solitude, wrote one of the most beautiful chapters in the history of American television. Though she's no longer a household name, Shelley Long never truly left acting. After years of struggling through projects that failed to take off, she found a flicker of light again with the Brady Bunch movie, 1995. The lighthearted comedy, which seemed like nothing more than harmless fun, grossed over $46 million and received warm reviews. It wasn't a triumphant comeback, but it proved one thing. Audiences hadn't forgotten the woman who once made America laugh. Nearly 2 decades later, Modern Family brought Shelley Long back in the most natural way possible. As Dee Dee Pritchett, the eccentric mother of Jay Pritchett, played by Ed O'Neill, she appeared in only 8 episodes, yet left a deep impression. With the same poise, the same eyes, both sharp and fragile, Shelley delivered a rare blend of humor and tenderness. The final episode, where the Pritchett family gathers to remember Dee, felt not only like a farewell to a character, but also a quiet metaphor for Shelley herself, a legend who slipped away softly, yet remained deeply loved. After Modern Family, Shelley Long all but disappeared from Hollywood. No interviews, no red carpets, no Cheers reunions. In 2024, when the cast gathered to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the series finale, everyone was there, except her. Her absence left fans wondering, where is she? What could make someone who once shone so brightly choose silence? Perhaps the answer lies in a few candid photos taken on the streets of Los Angeles. No spotlights, no designer gowns, just Shelley Long, now in her 70s, dressed in loose jeans and a jacket, walking her small dog through the quiet streets. She moves slowly, sometimes smiling at passers-by. No longer a sitcom star, just a woman rediscovering peace after years of pressure and loss. Some call it reclusion, but perhaps it's more accurate to call it healing. After all the blinding lights and backstage loneliness, Shelley Long chose to slow down, to listen to the sound of her own breath. Somewhere along the California coast, maybe she's finally found what fame could never give her: inner peace. Shelley Long's story isn't just about an actress who walked away from the top. It's a quiet metaphor for the price of fame. Hollywood can celebrate you one night and forget you the next morning. Few people have the courage to step away when the spotlight still burns bright. But Shelley did, and she paid the price. Fame faded. Opportunities closed. But she gained something priceless in return: the right to be herself. Looking back, people still argue. Was Shelley Long wrong to leave Cheers? But perhaps in life, there is no right or wrong, only choice. And that choice, though it shocked the world, was the right one for her at that time. Because sometimes the only thing a woman truly needs to do is stop trying to please everyone and start living as herself. Shelley Long was once the queen of sitcoms, 5 Emmy nominations, 2 Golden Globes, and a salary that made all of Hollywood take notice. But in 1987, she walked away from Cheers at the height of her fame, a decision that changed the course of her entire career. From dazzling lights to quiet solitude, Shelley Long chose stillness over spectacle. No scandals, no drama, just a woman who had lived through fame's full cycle and decided to step back to live truthfully, on her own terms. And perhaps, in a world where everyone is chasing the spotlight, that silence is its own form of courage. Diane Chambers remains irreplaceable. Cheers is still hailed as one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. And Shelley Long, though her stardom dimmed, left behind something far more valuable: the strength to choose peace over fame. Life has no right or wrong, only choices. For Shelley Long, that choice may have seemed wrong to the world, but it was right for her. And that's something no one can judge. What about you? What do you think of Shelley Long's decision? Which moment from Cheers stays with you the most? And are you on Team Sam and Diane or Team Rebecca? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories of heartbreak and courage from Hollywood's greatest legends.